Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, elephants and squirrels, this is DJ Ravietsa here on Rhinos Inc. Gaming, here for this Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution gameplay, and today I'm going to be doing a Weather Painter deck profile. It's revamped, a little bit different from how it used to be at the beginning of the series, so I'm going to go over that and what I changed. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We would love that. We've got more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content coming, as well as a lot of other videos that you might be interested in. So, that said, let's get right to it. Alright, so I did change up my deck a bit. It is different. It is definitely different. So first, I'm going to try and keep this as precise and concise as I can, and that way it's not too long of a video. So please bear with me. I'm going to be talking decently fast. Alright, so, and another thing, for all these different cards, I will be saying their names, so you can definitely go look them up as well to get a better feel of why they might work in here or why they might not, and so on and so forth. So let's just get right to it. Alright, so Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring in here purely as a way to kind of control situations. It's a nice hand trap, very useful, very great. Then we've got Gameciel, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. It's a Kaiju. I can just special summon it to my opponent's side of the field by tributing one of their monsters, and there you go. I can get rid of their big, fat monsters that do terrible things, and it's helpful. It's very helpful. Another hand trap, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. It's for when I have continuous spells or field spells that are decently troublesome, as well as effect monsters that I would like to get off of the field, so destroy those things. The Mech Knights are still in here. I reduced their number to a certain extent because I wanted a few more Weather Painter cards, as well as a few other supplementary cards to make the deck run a bit better and have more of a control style to it. So Mech Knight Blue Sky, purely there to get other Mech Knights out of the deck, put them in my hand. It's also a decent beat stick at 2000 attack with 2500 defense, and it's mostly used for my extra deck stuff, which I will get into a little bit later. Then we've got Mech Knight Indigo Eclipse, easy summon, beat stick, and I can move things around at will if need be, but purely there for special summoning so I can get into my extra deck and get my other Mech Knights. Orange Sunset, if I need to use its effect, I can use its effect, which is something with special summoning. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but again, pretty much all the Mech Knights are there for the special summoning from the extra deck. Now we've got Metaltron. He was in here before. Right here, 3 tributes. A normal to normal summon it. I could just tribute summon. I could tribute 3 monsters, 3 spells, 3 traps, or any combination of those 3 types of cards. Usually I'm going for 1 monster, 1 spell, and 1 trap. That way it can be unaffected by those types of cards. It's unaffected by monster effects, spell effects, or trap effects. 3000 attack. They have to try and expend resources to get over it. Very helpful in a lot of situations. And another thing is, its effect when it gets sent to the grave is I can special summon 1 wind, fire, earth, or water monster from my extra deck to the field. So I'm usually going into Super Heavy Samurai Steam Train King. Also, while I'm here in the extra deck, I'm gonna just say the cards that I use for Metaltron primarily, and those would be like Babylon. I don't even know why I really have this in here, but I do. Steam Train King, like I said, Majestic Star Dragon, pardon me. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, and Prank Kids Battle Butler, Gaia Drake, the Universal Force, and Blaze Phoenix, just to name a few. So that's pretty much like half of the extra deck is dedicated to Metaltron's effect. Alright, now on to our Weather Painters, the main part of the deck. So we've got Weather Painter Aurora here at 1, purely as a protector of my back row, my special, my spells and traps that are Weather Painter cards. Protects those. It has a decent attack. So yeah, it's helpful. Cloud, that way I can be able to recycle cards if necessary. I use that in conjunction with Thunder's effect to send something from the field to grab something from the deck. specifically weather, spell, or trap cards. And yeah, Cloud is able to pull stuff from the grave, weather, spell, or trap cards from the grave, and put them on the field. Very helpful. Rain, I only run at 1 because I don't, in this deck, because it's in Legacy of the Duelist and not in real life, I don't have much utility for Rain, so I just have her at 1 as I'm going to special summon this either as extra deck fodder or just because I can and it might benefit me, but not really using this card much. Now Snow, on the other hand, I'm using a lot, have her at 3 because I can pull a weather, spell, or trap card from my deck and place it face up in my spell and trap card zone. So immediately go for something that can search, like Weather Painter, the Weather Snowy Canvas, so I can search out other weather monsters or weather spell and trap cards, so on and so forth. Sun is essentially the same as Rain, based on the fact that I don't utilize it so much for things other than the extra deck. It has a decent attack, but I'm primarily using it for the extra deck. That way, when it goes to the grave, I can use its effect to special summon it and place a Weather Painter spell or trap card from my hand to the field. Already went over Thunder. I have Thunder at 3 because of the fact that it's essentially Snow, but with a cost, and a cost that can actually be alleviated if Cloud is on the field. Now, on to the things that I really made changes with would be like the spells and traps and so on. So, Dimensional Fissure, most of my monsters don't really go to the graveyard anyway, they're usually banished, and this is just a good way to hinder my opponent and prevent their effects from happening in grave. Alright, now Necro Valley, essentially the same thing, just so I can make sure my opponent can't touch their grave. I don't really touch my grave much, except for maybe if I want to use a Mech Knight Red Moon's effect, or if I want to use Weather Painter Sun. But like I said, I'm not really using those things for their effects, but primarily for extra deck touching. So Necro Valley, that's why it's there. Rainy Canvas for spell and trap card removal. Essentially, it just sends them back to hand. Snowy Canvas, like I said, for searching. Valhalla, so I can special summon fairy monsters from my hand when I have nothing on the field. All of the Weather Painters are fairies, so that comes in handy. Then we've got World Legacy's Memory to special summon a Mech Knight from my hand or deck. I primarily do it from the deck, and I usually go for Blue Sky if I don't already have it in hand. That way I can use it next turn if necessary, if I need something to keep myself going. A little bit slow, but it does the job. Anti-Spell Fragrance I have in here because I don't necessarily have to activate spell cards. I can just place them from either the graveyard or the deck, or even my hand at times based on some of the card's effects. So I can dodge this. It's more of a hindrance to my opponent in most cases. Skill Drain, big hindrance to my opponent in most cases, and not so much me. The only thing it really affects would be the Mech Knights, and that's pretty much it. All of the Weather Painters, when they use their effects, they banish for cost, and then off the field in the banish zone, that's when their effects go off. So I can still be able to make my plays, keep things moving relatively well. The only Weather Painter it really hinders is, I guess, Snow. I'm not going to be activating Skill Drain and then use Snow, that's silly. But Aurora, Cloud, Thunder, I guess. I mean, for their base effects, not the ones that they're given by the spells and traps. Then Storming Mirror Force just for when people attack. And one Auroral Canvas because while it is nice to be able to tell my opponent, hey, you just drew a card or added a card to hand, banish it, it's a situational kind of thing, and I don't necessarily have to use it to win. Next, Thundery Canvas. This one gets a lot of use in this deck. So I run it at 2, and essentially what it does is when a Weather Painter attacks a monster, it can banish itself to send that monster it battled with back to the opponent's hand. So I use that a lot for just getting monsters off the field that I don't like. If it's really big, I don't want it on the field. Just simple, straight up, I don't want it. So this comes in handy for that. Now on to the extra deck. I already went over what I use for Metaltron, these cards here. And now for the Mech Knight stuff. So Mech Knight Morningstar, essentially just a big Mech Knight. But I primarily use it for going into Mech Knight Spectrum Supreme. Now Spectrum Supreme, its effect, it can attack directly if there's nothing in its column. So that means nothing in the Spell and Trap card zone on my side, Monster Zone behind it on my side, and same thing for my opponent's side. Then it could just 3,000 straight to the face. It's amazing, it's great, very perfect. And also, if it's not pointing to anything, it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it cannot be targeted by card effects either, from my opponent specifically. Now, yeah, I use that. Gets a lot of utility, honestly, in this deck, because getting those Mech Knights out is relatively easy. Either they're in my hand at some point, or I can get, what is it, Legacy, yeah, World Legacy's Memory. Then finally, we got Weather Painter Rainbow. Honestly, she doesn't get much utility in here. Like, she doesn't get used. And I think there's going to be times where I will need to use her, but honestly, from what I've heard, if anyone's going into Weather Painter Rainbow, it's because you can already win. Like, you've already won at that point. There might not even be a reason to go into this card, but, you know, it's here just for, you know, those moments where it needs to be there. And essentially, it becomes a Solemn Judgment with other Weather Painters pointing to it. When it's pointing to other Weather Painters. So I can use them as, like, mini Solemn Judgments to just say no whenever I feel like it. And yeah, so that's essentially the deck right there. I, revamped it because I just wanted to make it feel a bit more smooth, a little bit more frustrating for my opponent, because this thing does say no a lot, and I like that. Of course, it does have its shortcomings. It's not a flood the field kind of deck, so anyone who has those kinds of cards or kinds of builds for their decks, they kind of make it harder for me to make my plays in some circumstances. But overall, I'm loving this deck. It's a lot of fun. I have it in real life too, but speaking of which, let me quickly go over that. So in real life, these two cards are replaced by, what's it called? I think it's the Weather Rainbow Canvas, which allows me to special summon more Weather Painters. And I love that card. It's an incredibly great card to have in the deck, and it helps out in so many circumstances, especially when I'm trying to dodge something. But just because the Legacy of the Duelist doesn't have it in here, I'm not using it, so But overall, that's pretty much the deck. That's it right there. Hey, if you guys liked the deck profile here, if you liked the video, drop us a like if you could. Also, if you have any comments about the build, like if you see anything that's like, oh, I like that, let me talk about it. Or, hey, I don't like that, here's what you can change about it. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'm always trying to get better at this game, trying to make better decks and all of that good stuff. So let me know. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you want more content like this, like I said before, please subscribe to the channel. We've got Yu-Gi-Oh content coming. We've also got more videos from other types of games coming. So it's a lot of stuff to look forward to. So that's it. Catch you guys later. Thanks for watching until the end. If you liked the video, hit that like button and share it with someone you think would like it too. We'd appreciate it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We upload at least 2 videos a week, so definitely subscribe and hit that bell icon to stay up to date. You can also find us outside of YouTube. Until next time, catch you later.